phone. I'm using my phone as a camera.
Ours are all in Florida. Everything we see up here. Yeah. There it is. He finally had to go right while he did like this. You know, we can't. Yeah, hear it. Careful. Okay, so tell me your names again. Jeff got me that horse since I was last year right here. I wear it all the time. It's just it's the dog. He's bringing it to her. Oh, okay. You're out of, and you're just getting are you
I got it done 5 minutes early.
Good morning.
I know. Danny just sold her house for about 6 months ago, and I said, "Look, we just got any place to go." Well, when they get through there, well, we can't get anybody else. Yeah, we know what the reason is. There we are.
They just can't understand it. And the jet.
Ben's ready to stream.
He's got it up.
He's got it.
Jeff's bringing a tripod for his phone because that's how he's got it.
I'm almost afraid to touch this.
I get it zoomed in. How y'all? He died at 68.
I think that's 180. I can't see.
Yeah. Did you have that spreadsheet on your computer? You did? Good. We should be able to, after the meeting, download it on the computer.
Is that okay?
Or either email.
Yeah, and if we did want to put it on us, we could flip it somewhere. What was that?
Didn't touch anything. I held it by the edges. So.
Oh, I guess it's right there.
That's where we wanted to move on.
But it needs to be far, or we have to do that. You know, who's talking. We'll move it a little farther away. Yeah, but that's good having that.
And no, we can put it on the ground if we need to extend those legs.
Get it back a little bit, that might be better, because I think most of the time it probably needs to be on this table.
You see that? Oh no, that's as far as it goes.
Oh, is that far?
Going all the way down?
Is that gonna be on? Oh, wait a minute. Look at here, it's
Seven table?
Well, I was thinking Rachel might come, but I don't know if she's still be here or not. Sure. They're both nice and good about-
That's all.
Oh, for the numbers. Gotcha.
We've got it on a spreadsheet on the computer. We're gonna transfer it to the condo association computer.
Okay.
And we will keep it on Excel. The issue, you decals, you just add them to the numbers.
Is there several on there?
Well, Patty said,
10:03.
Time to go. Can I have your attention, please?
Hello. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, and good morning to the folks watching on Zoom. You want to get started with our annual meeting? We have several new homeowners this year. Appreciate everybody coming. But the first thing we'd like to do is kind of talk, maybe let me recognize the new homeowners, and then there's some people in here that I don't think that I don't know that I've even met face to face with. I believe the Wolves, I think, actually, but might give everybody a chance in the room to say hello, and then after that, I'll go with this list of new owners and be sure you know the names, just to kind of get that in your head, though. But Mark, would y'all start and introduce yourself and what unit you're in?
We're Mark and Jamie from we're in A6, we're from Mark, Tennessee.
Jeff, April Beasley, we're in A5, and we've been from Dyersburg, we moved here 2 years ago, whatever, we've been here for a while.
Clint and Tammy Hunt, we live in Nashville. I actually grew up in Paris, and then moved away, and then I'm back. E2.
Right.
Jack and Susan Irvin from Gainesville, and we're in D1.
I'm Jane Barrett. I'm in D6, and Chuck's up in the condo watching the stream. We've been with us, I think, about 11 years we've been here.
I'm Donna Hastings, and Jimmy Rainey and my husband, we're in D3. We have a place in Dyersburg, but we're here on the long time.
I'm Michael Lopez, my wife Chris, we're in O2, been here since January. We live in Freeway, Tennessee, so we walk out our door and it's 67 miles from our door here.
I'm Big Spivey, we're in E5, we live in Kinsey, so we're just 40 minutes away. My husband's home waiting for the YouTube offering.
I'm Jerry Shepherd, in Jerry, and we're in D4, and I think everybody in our building's here. So that's a good sign.
And I'm Christy Paulus, and my husband's Michael, and we're in D1, and we all that here in the spring. We're from Pottsville.
I'm Natalie Burks Patterson. My dad is Eddie. And what summer am I on? All I know is I have 4 boys running around here. You can't see them.
Let me put it this way, she grew up up here. Since 93.
It's funny, I think it's my oldest. I think that was my first summer here, the age that he is now. So it's pretty cool for me. So we actually live in Dyersburg, and we're up here frequently on weekends for many years now.
I'm Rusty Robinson. My wife is Pam. We have A3. We run and operate the resort next door. If any of you don't have my number or anything, I think everyone pretty well does. If you need to get in touch with me, feel free to call or text anytime. Just appreciate y'all being here. I think you got, I guess Dan is the.
Dan Palms, I'm an F4.
Yeah. All right. Well, y'all, thank you for the ones attending in person. There's several logged in online, I think, and probably some of these other new owners. But we go over the list of new owners for 2021. Michael and Christy Wallace in D1, Tammy Hunt in E2, Philip and Annie Kate Massey are in N2, Mike and Christina Wolf are in O2, John and Pauline Morgan are in Q1, and John Roush is in Q2. But that's it's been a busy year. A lot of new faces. The property seems to be pretty popular. It always has done well, but this is probably this is without a doubt the least amount of property available for sale currently that we've ever had from the beginning of town. So it's really happy with that everybody's kind of seems to be glad to be here, and we appreciate that. The next thing on our list was the 2020 meeting minutes. They were all sent to you in an email. I don't know if you clicked on that link or not, but basically we don't usually read the minutes at this meeting. Since they've all been provided, if you want to, we could. Or else I need a motion to approve the 2020 minutes. Okay, need a second. Okay. All right. Motion's made to approve the 2020 meeting minutes by Mark Prince, and and seconded. I'm sorry, I didn't see who seconded, but Jeff. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No? Okay. Next thing on the agenda was board position. Mr. Wiley Street, which helped us immensely for years and years and years here, several years. Helped us do a lot of things with Wiley sold his units, as everyone knows, first part of the year. There was Patty Kelly was the next person that had been nominated by the committee to take Wiley's place. We took action. Of course, Patty has joined the board, and she's active and will be serve the remainder of Wiley's term, which I can't say that I know exactly. It's probably a couple of years left on his, I think. I'm not sure. But today,
It's actually next year.
next year, okay, next year that term will be up for re-election. Today we need to confirm April's position on the board for another term. We try to elect for the new people every year. Someone on the 5-member board comes up for term renewal, and if that person doesn't want to continue to serve, of course, we bring a nomination from the building committee up for approval and vote. But today we don't have anyone that's basically running for a board position, so we need a motion, I suppose, to accept April. Would that be in order?
I wholeheartedly.
I thought so. Can we have a second? Okay. Motion's made to approve April for another term on the Pleasant Place board, and by Ms. Jane Garrett, and a second. Again, I quit listening, I guess, after I got the motion down. Okay, I'm sorry. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Okay. April's done a great job, again, for the newer members here. She was really instrumental in the remodel we had a couple of years ago, and it's kind of ongoing. She's does a really good job for us. We appreciate her effort, as the rest of the board. Y'all got a good bunch of people here, maybe excepting me at times. But we seem to be getting a good bit done. I mean, it's a good group to work with. They put a lot of effort in. There's a lot of things. Patty's already been instrumental in helping us with minutes and things, and she's been real involved for the years she's been here too, knowing what's going on. So we got a great board, I feel like, and we'll continue to try to keep things moving forward. Eddie has some stickers. I'll let him tell you about them.
A little background first. Let Rusty give us a little background.
Okay. Well, we've always had traffic concerns too. With the resort, with the condos. Of course, we also have private property owners back here at the end of the road. But I can pretty much do what I want to from the top of the hill with the stop sign down here as far as policing this area. And we made a conscious effort. When the pandemic hit, we actually had to shut things down for a little while. It was kind of scary for everybody. So we started patrolling that road up there on a much more frequent basis, and we pushed that entrance up the road a little bit. It's not an ideal place due to the wide intersection. It's not perfect, but it was about all we felt like it was the best thing we could do at the time. So we put in a checkpoint, ran water and sewer lines, and getting a place where our security help. And Ray, if you haven't met Ray, most of you probably have, he's there every weekend. And they're screening cars coming in and out. We're also taking, I don't know if you call it screening or what have you, but there's a lot of people that come in here and really don't even know where they're going. And they drive in, they pull up over here, park by my golf cart, walk down there and use your beach, use your grills. They just make themselves at home, and they got no business in here whatsoever. So that's what we're trying to keep out. The other thing I'm trying to keep out is outside boat trailer traffic. It's terrible. It's better now than it was, but it's just terrible before I closed the boat ramp over there, basically for outside people. It's just reserved for you all, the resort guests, and boat slip owners. These private property owners here are welcome to use it. So we constitute this guard shack, but it kind of backs up traffic at times. So Eddie's, we talked about stickers about a year ago about something that would help wave people through a little quicker. And Eddie's took the initiative to go ahead and design a adhesive sticker, window sticker for your vehicles and for your golf carts, and he'll take it from there. That'll help Ray if he sees that sticker coming. Most of the time, he's gonna pull you through there as quick as he can. But if he sees the sticker, it'll help a little bit.
Yeah. With that as a background, we did talk about this at the meeting last year, and we decided it's a good idea to go forward with it, so that's what we've done. Now, what we've had designed and printed is a static claim sticker, okay? And that static claim sticker, you peel off the sticky side of it, or the static side of it, and it's designed to go in your windshield on the lower right side corner. So that's the passenger side. And also, we put it in there. The good thing about it is it's easy to peel off. So if you trade vehicles or you do whatever else, you can move the decal. Each unit is assigned 2 numbered decals. And you might say, well, what's the reason for numbering? Let's just say that your decal disappears. Well, if you're coming through the check station and we've got decals missing, sooner or later we're gonna find it. And we're gonna know. It's just another precaution to keep the decals on the windows, and people see that number. A lot of times they say, well, if I take that, I might, because we've got them all documented. And they'll all be on an Excel spreadsheet on the computer at the office, the homeowners association office. And as, also, if you happen to lose one, or if you want additional stickers, you can get those. They're only $10 a piece. So, you can replace them if you need. We've got plenty of them to replace if you need to. So when we had the printing done, we had enough printed. So, we made sure we would have plenty. This, if you can see it, it's kind of a nice, but that's what the sticker looks like. Okay? And we appreciate Rustin them allowing us to use their trademark, which I thought was very appropriate, for what we got here. But when you peel this obviously white off, this decal is clear. And the good thing about it, and part of the reason the color scheme we use is you're driving down the road and getting ready to pass the guard shack. The first thing he's gonna see is that yellow sun. It's gonna pop out. And when he sees that, he's gonna give you the high sign. So you don't have to stop, you don't have to worry about backing traffic up. If you're pulling a boat, that's the ones they're gonna be looking for the most. Somebody's got a trailer behind them. But if you're pulling in with a trailer and everything, he sees that, he's gonna wave you out through. And it's gonna help speed things up and stop congestion and everything. As I said, each unit is assigned 2 numbered decals. They're in here in an envelope with your name on it with an information sheet. And I'm gonna hand these over here to Natalie, and y'all get the opportunity, whether we have a little break or whatever else, or you come over and pick up your envelopes, and then the rest of them will mail out. But has anybody got any questions?
So what if you're a family, like I'm here and my daughter is here? What about them? Is there anything we can give to them, or do we just check them out the station?
Yeah, you could, like I say,
My wife and I would have one for each car.
yeah, any additional stickers above 2, you can obtain for $10 a piece. And then we will add that, the number that you purchase will be added to your unit. And we will track it as your unit.
If they don't have a sticker, they can still stop, if Ray stops them and say, I'm a visitor or whatever. And I mean, he's gonna continue to let them in as far as I know, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we're not really turning anybody around, but if you get a car coming down the road and it's got fishing holes sticking out both windows and a picnic basket in the back seat, 8 people in it, you know they don't really need to be here unless they're renting a boat, you know. I said, y'all rent a boat today? And, oh, no. So sorry, but you gotta go to Big Eagle or you gotta go somewhere else, you know. It's just there's been extensive discussion on a gate for just Pleasant Place. At one time years ago, there was a lot of interest in the gate just for the condo development. Well, the problem began to be where are the people going to turn around once they figured out they couldn't get further down the road. So we thought about it. I thought about it really for years and years. What to do? We tried to do extra things on busy weekends, but anyway. The trailer where I put that guard shack came up for sale last summer. And unfortunately, for the people that owned it, they were getting ready to stuff's going nuts. Everybody knows the prices of things. You can't believe what they're paying for trailers in the trailer park right now. It's just so, but I asked the people, told them, gave them about 2.5 months. I said, y'all gonna have to move it. They're gonna sell it and move because we gotta have that property. We're gonna have some signage made up, and I'm hoping to. I've even got a sign on the right-hand side of the road as you're coming in. There's an empty post right there, and I'm gonna put the county on it, but I'm gonna put some directional signs that match and mimic the county and the state park type stuff. The boat launching ramp to the right. I'm gonna put some stuff on that sign to help too, because a lot of people just make a mistake. They drive in here and they don't realize when they get in here that they really can't. You know, what they're wanting to do doesn't work. So. This next area that on the agenda was.
Jane had.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Am I correct in assuming the sticker's going to be outside with
No,
the shield?
they go on the inside of the window, because the static part of it is what sticks to the window. And you have to peel this off and it sticks on like that. So it's on the inside.
I had it.
Is it, cars are one thing, but now we have hundreds of golf carts at home everywhere. Would it be feasible to put one of those on our golf carts and they are also stopped?
Well, you could do that, but we don't recommend that, and I'll tell you why. We talked about that, and we talked about,
Too
you know,
easy to steal.
issuing one for, just for golf carts for each unit. But we felt like that because they are static, that, they'd be a lot easier to peel off a golf cart.
People would just grab them.
And the fact that they're not adhesive, and we just think that it's just inviting somebody to do that. Now, we talked about the fact that we have asked all homeowners to number their golf cart and put their unit number on each side of the golf cart. So when you see that, you know that that belongs here and should be here. And it's just like what we say in the purpose on this letter. It says the purpose of what we're doing is to allow security staff and all homeowners to readily and easily identify vehicles belonging to Pleasant Place Homeowners Association owners. So it helps all of us, because once you see that sticker, or if it's a golf cart, you see the number on the side of the golf cart, you know those folks belong here. So.
Is there any, problem with crime or anything that was reported around here?
We've had.
Not recently, though.
Yeah, like golf carts ever been stolen?
There's been
What seems to happen?
There's been some joy rides on, you leave the key in there, and you get kids walking in, and next thing you know, somebody's missing a golf cart, and we find it up in the mud somewhere up here. Usually, it's happened a time or two.
I know that I'm not always just kind of the habit, but I kind of get the feeling I don't have to. But I just wonder.
Yeah.
We don't have the crime here that we used to since Myers has come in and kind of cleaned that area up.
There's been a pretty good change in the community. Like April said, there's new ownership that used to be House Resort next door. That was a known area for a lot of misfit type people that you didn't really want running around in here. Between them and some things that's going on in local law enforcement, they kind of flushed those people out of this community. They're on the other side of town, and if you realize where that is and what's going on, look at the arrest reports, those same people are doing the same thing on where they're living now over in their community. So we flushed them out. And also the Antioch community, which is south of us here, has gotten rid of the biggest infestation they had over there, put it that way. And so this side here in the county right now is running pretty good. And even one of our night watchmen is a part-time officer with the Henry County Sheriff's Department, which doesn't hurt anything, because he's bringing a car in here all the time. We're putting heating and cooling in. We just couldn't get the garden shack or entrance shack finished, and we're trying to put that in. We're wiring and plumbing and everything. So over the winter months, I'm hoping that anytime Tom's out too, that he can put that patrol car right up there by the entrance as well, which most people are gonna. There's too many little homes around to go around. They may break in somewhere else where they've got a lesser chance of being caught. People got so many cameras and things these days. It's really better than it's been in a long time.
So is it correct to assume that Ray will stop golf carts that don't have?
He's just, what happens with the carts and the side-by-sides and things like that, again, if it looks like a rowdy bunch of people coming in here, he's gonna question them pretty good. But if really and truly the golf cart traffic that's coming in, he's not, most of them are going down to the docks, get on the boats. And, he's not gonna screen them. But what happens is if somebody gets through them, and we were looking for them too. You got Jeff and Justin here watching for people that shouldn't be here. You got our entire office and all our staff is looking around if there's anything that looks unusual or looks like it's not just right.
Well, it's the kids that use that as a Indy 500 track, I'm really.
Yeah. The part of the problem is that, the underage operators, but it doesn't matter once they hit 16. I mean, they just go back to doing what they couldn't do the year before. They get pulled off. It is tough. I wish there was I wish we had a little better solution, but we're not screening the carts as much. Yeah. Ms. Jane?
I know this is something we discuss every year, but I just hope that at least all of us in this room will agree to be responsible parents and grandparents and not let little underage children be driving your golf carts around. It's just too dangerous.
It is, you're exactly right. And now my kids grew up driving these things when Hannah couldn't see over the steering wheel. I mean, she wrecked one literally before she could, in her grandparents' yard over there, when she literally, they just saw her hands on top of the steering wheel and saw the cart flying towards the tree. But, it's irresponsible, it's just, it can be. And as the laws changed in the county, people tend to think that the police don't really have any authority down in here, but I encourage them to stop kids that are driving. If I see a deputy, I said, would you please stop any kid underage, if you think it's underage, that's driving anywhere down here on this property, because they're a liability for all of us. Are there any more discussion on this?
We're not expecting this to be the total answer to what we're trying to achieve, but it's a step. It's just one step, another step, which helps to tighten it up and to make it easier for all of us to recognize who should be here and who shouldn't.
If things get worse, for lack of a better word, we'll do more. We're trying to take this as gentle as we can to make it easy on people getting in and out, but at the same time, we pretty much got the message across. When I looked on my video cameras on a Saturday morning down there, on a beautiful Saturday morning, and there's 2 boats and trucks parked on the hill down there, instead of it being full and people parked and blocking the drives, because the outside people don't care about y'all. They don't care about us. They don't care about the resort. All they want is to use what you got. And because it's safe. They don't come back typically and their trailer stolen off the truck. But unfortunately, for everybody knows, I think too, we put in a new launching ramp down there last year. Well, those people that come in here and take up your parking place hadn't paid a dime to use that launching ramp, and I'm not going to even offer that as an option for them. I'm sorry, it costs lots of dollars to put that in, and it's just time to wean them out. Ben's going to speak on the next issue if you're ready.
Well, before that, want to remind everybody on live stream that you can chat with us by typing a question or comment, and we'll be reading it. I have one so far from Laney Oaks. How will guests be handled regarding getting in and out having a sticker? I think Eddie has addressed that, but Laney, if you have further comments or questions on it, just type away again. All right, next item then is a review of our communication methods. We changed this quite a bit a couple of years ago, and we still find it to be a little bit difficult to get everybody up and going on these communication techniques that we're using. So I thought it'd be good to hit the high points on it this morning, and if y'all have questions, I'll try to address it now, or you can see me after the meeting. First thing is our email system. We use a program called MailChimp that allows us to send out mass email to all the homeowners. And if we're given more than one email address, we put all the email addresses that the homeowners want on there into this system, and it sends the email to everybody that we have an email for. And so as far as you getting the email, it comes to your email address that we have on file. So if we don't have your latest email address, if you changed it, you're not going to get the message. And so it's important for you to let the board know if you have a change in your email. Number two is the text messaging system. We use an app called Remind, which was designed for schools and teachers so she can send text messages out to all the parents. But it works good for homeowners association. So if there's something urgent that we need to get out quick, we send out a text to all the numbers that we have on file. But with this app, we can't just add your phone number. You have to request to be on Remind. And the way you do that is to text the @ symbol and then lowercase PPCA HOME, PPCA home. And you text that little message to 81010. When you do that, a request to join Remind comes to me, and of course, if it's one of the homeowners, I'm going to approve it, and from then on, you'll get all the text messages. You can also send text messages to all the other homeowners yourself. Let's say you see something dangerous going on here. Any one of you can get on Remind, send a text message, and it'll go to all the homeowners, and tell them that something's going on. So there's a fire, or it looks like somebody's breaking in, whatever. That's the idea, because most people don't look at their email every few minutes, but they do get text on the spot. And so what we're starting to do, and I think this has improved things some, is if we are sending out a mass email, we're trying to remember to send out a text telling you just simply look at your email. We just sent you an email. And so I think that will help. And if any of you have any suggestions on that, feel free to speak up. But that's what we're trying to do mostly as far as getting out information. We also have a Facebook group that Chuck Garrett manages. And all of this information, by the way, is on your homeowner's packet. Any new homeowners are emailed a PDF file that has a packet in it with all this information. It's got the bylaws, it's got a copy of the work order sheet. If you have something that you want done around your condo, the proper procedure is to fill out a work order sheet and give it to Rusty, or if he's not around, give it to one of the board members. Can't find any of us, then give it to our maintenance guy, Jeff. But that's how Jeff keeps up with what needs to be done first. And on this work order sheet, it has a priority. You can say that this is something I need done right now, or just when you can get to it, that kind of thing. And rather than verbally going to Jeff, we prefer that you fill out a work order sheet, because it makes his work be much more manageable. And so all of this is in the homeowner packet. If any of you have not printed it out yourself, we'll be glad to print it out for you here at the office and give you a written copy. So just let me know after the meeting if you need a written copy. That's where most of the information is regarding everything that goes on here at the at Pleasant Place. And we update it as needed. For example, we recently had a change in board member, so we went in and changed that. So now, Wiley was taken off, Patty was put on for that. And so from time to time, it gets changed. Also, whenever it is changed, it's updated on our website. When we get new homeowners, our homeowner directory is updated right after they move in. So you need to periodically look at the website for updates such as that. And now the next item I've got here is the website. And it seems like this is where we've had the most problems in the past, is people knowing how to get onto the website. And the problem seems to always be just the way this website is designed. When the only way you can get on it is the website manager, which is me and April right now, has to send out an invitation. Of course, any new homeowners, you should have gotten an invitation to join the website, because this is a closed website. The public can't see it. There is a public website that they go to, but basically it just tells them a little blurb about a pleasant place, and that's all. I can't get into the information as far as your phone number and email address. All of our bylaws, all of that is closed, and it's only open to homeowners. So the first step is you will get an invitation. When you answer the invitation, you have to fill out your information, as far as your address, your home address, of course, your unit number will already be on there because we know that. Your phone number, email address, and all that. Most of that we already know, but you can put on the website whatever you want people to see. And but here's where people mess up. You have to scroll all the way down to the bottom and click on a little box that says, I agree to the rules. That's not obvious because it's off the screen. You have to keep scrolling down. And you have to check that little box that I agree to the rules or you don't get in. And I've had, I don't know how many people call me, they can't get on the website. And that's always what the problem is. And so, for you, those of you here that aren't on yet, and if you try to get on it 2 or 3 times, sometimes I have to re-invite you. So if you have checked that box and you still can't get on, and you need to be re-invited, let me know, and I'll invite you again. You can go through all that stuff again. Check I agree to the rules. You should be able to get on. Now on the website, we have this sheet here that has all the homeowners' names, phone numbers, addresses, emails, everything. This is on the website. We have our meeting notes. Like for the last several years, all of our annual meeting notes are on there. We have our master deed with all its amendments, our bylaws, all the legal stuff is on there. And financial, our budget is on there for going back several years. So you can look at that and see how the budget has changed over the years and that sort of thing. There's also a calendar on there. The calendar is mainly used to announce things like the annual meeting. You can go in there and look at the calendar, see when that is, but it's mainly used for clubhouse reservations, to reserve the clubhouse for when you need it. You go onto the website, go to the calendar, click on the day you want it, and once you click on the day you want it, you can if you don't want it all day, you can just reserve it for a certain portion of the day, but normally you just do it for all day because we very seldom ever have two people wanting it the same day. If you want it more than one day, if you want it the whole weekend, if nobody else has got it first, it's a first come, first served thing. So if you get on it for the weekend, it's yours. If somebody else comes after you and wants it for the weekend, sorry, it's already reserved. So that's the way it should work. But if any of you try to do it that way, call me and I can help you do it using the website. If you still can't do it, I'll do it for you. So, of course, my phone number is online, and it's on this sheet. So if anybody doesn't know my phone number, see me after the meeting. I can give it to you. But if you'll call me, I can always do it for you. Some people just, are not as computer savvy and have problems with it. And so I don't mind you calling me. It only takes me a couple minutes to reserve it for you. And also part of that reserving is I go on to the app for the locks. All of our locks are electronic. And I will schedule the lock so that you can use your code. And everybody has a special code for the exercise room and the clubhouse. You can use your code on the exercise room 24/7. 365 days a year, that code will work. But because you have to reserve the clubhouse, your code won't work on the clubhouse lock unless you're given permission to use it on a certain day or days. And so that's part of the reserving process. As soon as the board approves you for your reservation, me or whoever is the board member at the time will go into the lock app and they will reserve, allow your code to be used on those days. And what my normal way of doing that is, I'll go ahead and let your code work for one day before you want it and one day after you want it. Now, the reason for that is even if somebody else has the clubhouse, it's not any big deal. It just means they can get in and you can get in on the same day. But that allows you to come in if you've left something in here you need to clean up. Most people clean the clubhouse up themselves. If you don't want to clean up yourself, of course, you can get Jeff to clean it up for you, but you got to pay a fee for it. And so that's basically how that works. Anybody have any questions so far? Okay. There's also a message board. Any of you can go on the message board and put any kind of a message you want for other people, other homeowners to read. And so that's pretty much it as far as our communication methods. But like I say, the website thing is the most confusing, and I'll be glad to help any of you get on it. I'll even come over to your condo and help you get on it there, because once you get on it, you're on it forever. Okay. Any other comments or questions? All right, back to you, Rusty.
We're now ready for membership committee report and discussion. I don't have the report printed off in front of me.
Got one.
Yeah. We just want to take these one at a time, or how do y'all propose to start at the top, move down?
You want them?
Yeah, I heard her. You
I
want to do it?
read
Call them out. We'll some of us may have, one of us may have an answer, or all of us may have. We'll just have to see what we got.
Well, we'll just start with building A. The ditch and then the rails that are dividing the property being loose and the water spigots being unusable.
Right. That's the water faucets from either, we got some faucets that didn't work. We acknowledged that last year at this time. They hadn't gotten changed. We talked to the plumber and I talked to them again. So this time we're gonna come in and just have some built up ahead of time, letting you do several when it comes in here at one time as a plan.
One on A, you can't reach.
That's what that's what they said.
Not too fast.
Yeah.
I told him I was one cheeseburger away from not being able to get through there. It could happen. He could
Yeah,
happen.
that one's Eddie had some, an idea on some way to do that without having to actually have to do it.
Put an elbow in it.
Yeah, but we'll try to do something.
I called Jill, he can reach it.
Well, I can only reach it to my leg long if I can get my belly on the top of it.
Josh, for his side, has unusually wide reach. He could probably reach it and he's around over there too. But he's not. I'm sorry.
Well, so the ditch, do we,
Yeah, just another thing right quickly too. Jeff was, up until about 10 days to 2 weeks ago, Jeff was really, really sick. He had some issues, breathing. And, so right after our meeting was when he got sick. And so he and I had gone over a couple things, but we hadn't gone over the punch list that I took off of this report is right here. And we hadn't been able to really sit down and go over it because he had some catching up to do and all, but we'll get that covered. But he is about the ditch they're talking about. There's some washouts, right by the sidewalk, walking around by A building. We did some work last fall. It's still continuing to wash a little. We're gonna have to get some more, just get some more dirt in there.
building B, window in the master bedroom, I don't know which, in the exterior entrance for the exterior stairs.
Yeah, that was, building B. I think the window that they're talking about was for, B6, the Brad Scarborough. And, the window's here. We're waiting on someone to install it, which hopefully sometime next month that's gonna work out. We got some windows going in A building as well that Jeff's kind of helping oversee that process. Should I talk a little more about what we're doing on A building since we're here?
Yeah, you probably should. I think
Yeah.
I think hit it, and that way everybody knows.
What's going on,
Mhm.
because they're gonna see it, and say, what the hell that is?
All right. Well, what we got, y'all, a lot of you, if not all of you, are aware that we've had our share of window failures over the years here. It started from the very beginning of time. We had a major warranty replacement done in 2004, I believe it was. And basically, these were windows that were just either nearly out of warranty or about to get out of warranty. Pella came in here and took care of some issues that they really didn't have to. They treated us real good at that point, but after that, we continue to have failures. It's basically the wood is rotting out inside of the metal cladding for multiple reasons, from what we've been told. But what's happened with the A building at the moment, we have Jeff and April have bought a complete new window for their unit, and Pam and I bought a complete new window for our unit. As far as I'm aware of, all the other window panes, which are the owner's responsibility, the panels themselves, have been either replaced and up to snuff, so to speak, and in good shape. If there are any that need changing that I'm unaware of, I'm just unaware of it. But Eddie had made efforts when he bought C4 a couple years ago, made efforts to make sure that one didn't get water in basically at all. But what our plan is now is to take the entire amount of siding off on the master bedroom windows. We're going to take the siding off from top to bottom, install these two new windows, tape up and repair anything under that siding that needs to be seen about, which a lot of it has already been addressed. But We will have to get a little bit different siding. It's not this siding's too old. It's not gonna be an exact match, but it'll be white, but hopefully texture won't be really visible. But what we've decided to do is split, we talked to Mark and Jamie, and Eddie's aware of it, and the Mitchells below 81, and we've all, in order to relieve the burden off the association, because those complete window units are an association expense. We bought B6 for Brad Scarlett. We bought other windows in the past. But right now, like mine, for instance, I knew we had some rot in that window. It was questionable whether it needed to be replaced or not. I could have bought all panels, the ones that were bad, and put them in, but now the prices are raised so high on the panels that it's almost not productive. If you got to buy 3 of the 4 panels, you might as well buy windows. You got more labor involved. But we basically decided among the group that's building to fix our building and relieve the association from the burden that it's going to create. The biggest problem you have is the sunbursts that are up above the top 4 bedroom windows. That's where the water originates. It starts in, it's homemade, if you will. It had to be, there wasn't anything available at the time, prefab, so they built that. And as it ages, it begins to crack, caulk, leaks, and there you go. You begin to get water and it's trickling down through the window system there. So we're going to take it all off. We've got, I think the sunburst came in, didn't it, Jeff? Jeff found some replacement sunbursts that were prefab, so we've got them there. We'll take the windows out, fix them, put the siding back on. This new sunburst will attach on top of the vinyl rather than being the vinyl cut out and being inserted. That's where the biggest mistake probably was made of all when they did this, without doubt. And but anyway, hopefully we will be able to completely dry up that building. That building gets more exposure than anything here when hurricane season hits and it rains sideways out of the east. I mean, you're going to get water in there a little bit if it's a severe storm, no matter what you do, probably. You can make vinyl leak if you blow upward on it and get water in. But what we're going to do, hopefully, is going to be a fix. It might be a model for the rest of the project. A lot of you have already put money in your windows that are here or that are listening online. I've got windows ordered now. We have N1 and N2. We have sliders ordered for the ground level. They rotted out. The wood just rotted out. I've only got them on order. I met with some people in, I've been with Pella a couple times lately over in G building, and we got some windows ordered on 2 of the 4 units over there, and I think the third one, the Penningtons, I think they're going to have to put some windows panels in too. But if we don't replace these panels when it's time, what's going to happen is that's each of our individuals' expense. If you continue to ignore it, and I had this written up on the estimates from Pella, if you continue to ignore it, it's going to become an association expense, which association really doesn't have the reserve funds to go buy $5,000 windows and installing them everywhere around here at the moment. We're really, we're going to talk about reserves later, but to avoid all that, I'm encouraging anybody I have to get a bid for to do what's necessary right then. If they continue to ignore it and that whole window's got to be replaced, well, to me, and I don't know if I may be out of line, but to me, then that would be a little bit of neglect on the individual owner's part, and maybe they should, the burden doesn't need to fall on the association when it doesn't have to.
Yeah, I replaced the sashes in both A2 and A4. And that's what he's talking about, the panel. It's the sash, which is the wood that holds the glass. It comes out, and it can easily be replaced. And that kind of nips it in the bud, and that's going to take care of it for a long time. When we replace the window in B6, I paid the additional cost of getting fiberglass window. So that whole unit that we put in there is fiberglass. That cures the problem once and for all.
That's the way to go.
It cures the problem for the window, but it doesn't cure the problem for the water.
Right.
You're
Of
right.
course, like, the water actually from that sunburst.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got 4 damage and ours, we can't do anything about it until we get this fixed, and it's been there for 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah.
Of course, we get most of it, and then everybody below us, Rusty and Brad and Natalie, I'm telling you, it hits that concrete, it drips on down and drips on down. And it's been caulk, it's been everything, and Rusty said that building it was never done.
It's leaked since I've been there, and I was able to build that building, and it has leaked from the very first day.
The siding has been pulled on that window right the next year after it was built. Pulled the siding down, we had, some guys come in, checking and sealing the windows, to put it back up. Again, it's partly exposure. I learned a lot by we moved into my father-in-law's home, in January, which is just, if you don't know, to the west over here in the very back of this pocket. It's right on the bluff right there. And it's amazing when you sit there, when the wind starts coming in, what it does. I mean, it's just like it blows straight up. And that's a terrible issue and going to continue to be an issue on that building. But what Jeff's talking about, we've got the fix for it. And we talked about whether or not maybe just not have sunburst over the windows as time goes on. That would be up for everyone's opinion on that. We've gone ahead and he went ahead and found these and ordered them so we can put them back up, so it doesn't mismatch anywhere. But long term, every one of these buildings are going to have this kind of work done to them. But the labor on the siding is not so bad, but the windows can be really big amount of money.
So is homeowners association paying for any of that?
They're not.
Not even the siding?
They're not. For a building, we haven't planned on the association being out any burden at this point. So, whether that's truly in line with the bylaws or not, I can't answer to that. But it is, our budget will tell you better the reserve accounts we'll talk about a bit later too. But it just, we need to build them up, not deplete them, really, at the moment.
Our window was flooring, and Jeff got up there and did his magic, and my goodness, it worked.
Yeah.
But, his build was a little rot, and we fixed that.
Yeah, if you get the moisture stopped and kind of get something drying, you can prevent it. But it's got to have some exterior maintenance for sure. Miss James?
I admit, I'm pretty confused about this whole conversation. I do know that Chuck and I need to get our bedroom, master bedroom window replaced. So can Chuck and I get with you and figure out what exactly it is we need to do?
Yeah, hasn't Jason Prescott been in touch with you?
He did,
Okay.
he did talk to Chuck about it,
Right.
but I'm really confused about
Okay.
water coming in and sunburst. I thought all we had was just
Yeah.
glass that lost its seal.
Well, you do at the moment, but what we've got to determine is how quickly, if that was a failure within the window, or if you're actually getting water running down the siding and stuff, that's got to be,
Can someone help us with that?
we're basically, the only thing I know to do at the moment is to kind of keep a watch on things when I really feel like that with everyone's permission, that we need to have Jeff going in these buildings. Let's say it rains and blows hard out of the east. Well, he needs to go in every building over here on this side, I feel like, and be sure, we used to do that for hot water heaters years ago. Once a month, we had a checklist. We go in and check for hot water heaters because people got flooded. So, we quit doing that once, things kind of settled down with that particular situation. We had to run bad heaters along with the corrosive water. It's just, if you notice wet carpet at the bottom of your window, just let us know. That's a big telltale thing. If you see damp carpet down right at the base of that window, we really need to know it as soon as possible.
I like your idea that you'll know what you're looking for and check it. I mean, mine is a little soft.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's, really wet.
Yeah.
It's soft. And I like Eddie's idea of replacing it with fiberglass.
Exactly.
That doesn't stop it.
Yeah.
Legally saying, but it's still, that window would hold up a lot longer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really the only way to go. And unfortunately, you can't buy a fiberglass panel and put in an old wood clad window. I guess that's too
But
easy of a permanent fix. I don't want to tell you that.
I think I was told that actually now, if you have a property that's next to the water, fellow won't sell you a wood window.
So they make it private.
They make
Yes,
fiberglass, yes, they're the ones that make the fiberglass. And you, to look at it, you can't tell the difference between the looks of the two windows.
We, the
I
door,
would say let's look at all of them.
well, we,
Somebody knows what they're doing.
yeah, Jeff did a lot of work, and which is a lot easier on the G building, which we got windows ordered for over there right now. And, he put the scaffolding over there and got everything sealed up, and, we thought we had everything great. Well, Morris Rowlett emailed me a couple weeks ago and said that he still had some water, a little bit, not much, but a little bit down on the bottom floor. What we came to find out in this case, that since the windows had failed, the panes had failed and they had slipped down, and it was kind of creating a dam below the panes. The water, anywhere, once the water blew in the middle section between the windows here, when it blew in, or if you had enough runoff from up above through the J channel, that J channel seemed to be kind of inverted instead of this way where it was running out each end, but it's kind of not straight or nothing. Yeah, going the wrong way. And anyway, that water was running down the track between the two windows and building up, and it was puddling and dripping right out on the floor. But we seem to have that part taken care of, and all the starburst or sunburst on that side, I think, are solid and sound. You're probably, those two buildings, those two-story buildings over there are going to be pretty easy to keep a track on for as long as we got Jeff. And, kind of without, hopefully, if we're given a heads up that something's wrong,
I know mine's soft. I don't know how bad his computer is.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
right. If you see any movement, if you see a window panel or a glass pane shifted, it's time to know about it. Or if you have any leakage inside, it probably is a good sign that your panel's about ready to have to be changed.
Any of you have soft wood at the crank where you open the window? Right where that crank attaches? I know that's where it is on mine. I might want to check that.
I hate this is an ongoing thing, but we're never going to be rid of this issue. I really don't think. There's always going to be a little bit of it. Hopefully, if we get the exteriors of buildings, keep them in better shape, hopefully it won't be as much of it. But the very thing that told us was that you take a window panel and they said, well, when they came in to inspect this, they said, well, y'all have caulked these windows. I said, well, some of these are basically brand new. What do you mean caulk them? They said, oh, we recommend you put a big silicone right down here on the outside, from about here all the way around, so it won't stand on the ceiling and leak through the polymer sealant they got in there. I said, well, why don't you do that when you build a window? Why don't you put the silicone there? Marvin's windows, for example, had got it, and they got that seal on there. That is a maintenance point. These windows that failed with the Rowlett's building over here had been sealed really well around them because they're easy to get to. And it's just an ongoing thing. They've cited high humidity in the buildings due to concrete and due to heavy drapery. When you get the sun coming up in the morning, it rains between the drapes and the window, it rains down in the window, in the interior of the window. And I do buy that as being part of the problem because I've seen it rain in these condos over and over, especially when we're having all that problem. You come in here and these heavy blackout blinds you put on there to keep them shut. You got a temperature change right here in this tight space, it's gonna sweat. I've seen them just sweat on the inside. This building right here on the ground floor, I've seen it so wet that I don't know, I mean, it was just water that's running down the bedroom windows from it. Just due to temperature inversions, if you don't have, depends on inside, outside heat, we all know, so. There's just a lot of things that's causing it. But
So y'all went back and bought from Holiday then?
we didn't have any choice. I say we didn't, I'm sure there were choices. But the first thing I thought that we didn't want to downgrade the quality of the window, because that's one of the biggest focal points in those units in the master bedroom there. So I got it priced from Marvin, and the net cost on a Marvin window wound up being, this dealer cost was, I think, close to double what we're paying for these right at the moment. It was extremely high. We couldn't deal with that. So
So we'll all be dead and gone by the time these happen again.
we hope. No, I think it'll be better over time. It would be ideal if they just built panels to fit these new windows. But they're not, the current COVID situation, they're not building much of anything. They're trying to force you to buy complete units and go to their new stuff. That's why we had to put doors in 1 and in 2, because they don't even offer replacement panels for them. All you needed was a panel. They don't offer it, not going to do it. We went to a vinyl foam. We went to, it's not a wood clad door we got ordered to go back in those to prevent any, it'll look aesthetically look like what's there, but it's not the wood clad. We just didn't, the wood clad was more expensive as well, but if it doesn't hold up any better than what's in there, we didn't feel the need to do that again.
Needless to say, we've learned a lot. And the thing we've learned is catch it early and do something about it.
But anytime you got a question, you see Jeff, flag him down and say, Jeff, could you come here a minute? Look, you think I got a problem? He's glad to do it. And he understands. Every time he fixes one, he finds something new. We've had numerous little things that cost water to get the building. So I could sit here and talk about it and waste a lot of y'all's time probably, but it's nothing new, and we got to get it better. We have to.
We'll do about the windows,
Yeah,
okay,
unless
so,
there's more discussion.
I had a quick question.
Yeah.
We had our building representatives meeting a few weeks ago. And so I guess what I'm wanting to know is, what was the process that building A homeowners, how y'all went about coming together to create that plan so that other buildings will know?
Jeff just took it on as kind of a personal matter because we lost hardwood. We're gonna have to replace part of the hardwood, and just contacted everybody else in the building, Eddie, the Mitchells, the Princess, Rusty, and just kind of agreed that we would absorb the cost of that and divide it 6 ways on the
I
side.
asked them how, if they had leaks, and everybody did to a certain extent. And I asked them, I also said, Rusty and I are going to replace our roof out of our pocket with fiberglass windows. And I said, are you interested in that? And I got them cost, and then Aiden made a decision not to, and/or just replace the sashes, or maybe already replace the sashes. But still with the leakage, everybody used to agree, let's do what we gotta do to fix it. Everybody has water in the building. And it's been, and we tried to fix it numerous ways. Nothing worked, so.
Well, that's what, and, these other buildings, we're really trying to do a better job of each building representative staying in consistent communication with the homeowners, but also utilizing the work order sheets to initiate repairs on their individual units. So I think it's trying to find that balance between each unit, getting the repairs done, the time that it needs done, but then also finding ways to collectively come together and make that decision to initiate as a whole,
Right.
as a whole building.
And like Rusty said, this is kind of being used as a model, and it, everyone else may have to follow suit at some point. We'll see how it goes. I think it's.
The only time that I'm aware of that I can think of that a complete window had to be changed here was when we came to B building, and we came to find this out when the warranty issue, when all those warranties took place back in 2004. The middle level and the ground level, all four of those windows were replaced, if I remember right. The top two, they didn't replace. They didn't have any rod up there at all. And, but they went ahead and changed those bottom four. Well, it's taken this long for the upper ones to fail. And the other reason that those windows had to be changed, the top ones, is that they didn't make, you weren't able to change the panels. You couldn't repair those windows. They were a little different than the rest of the windows here. So we had to go with a different window that was required to go up. The rest of the windows that have been replaced over the years down here are really a product of, you know, maybe not getting reported as soon as they needed to, which once it rots enough, the frame begins to warp and twist. And once you get to that point, you gotta pull it all out, change it, the whole thing. And I knew, you know, I just don't think that the window frame itself, which constitutes a association expense, usually will fail unless it's neglected for a long time.
Anything else on the windows?
Yeah.
Building B, they're asking for pressure washing, which is usually done in the fall, right? And that's always.
Should be here. They're usually started about by now or right about now.
That's a good time to check your windows too, by the way, is when they pressure wash. Sometimes we have trouble. Building C, there were some bushes, I think that they've mentioned that was supposed to be trimmed, but didn't we say Jeff would handle that?
Yeah, they're actually been working on shrubbery and stuff, and he got a little behind with this being sick too.
Yeah. And then there's a parking spot underneath that was sinking, now it's sinking again, that's on building C.
Yeah,
Ben said that we had injected that with something and.
Yeah, there was a comment that it was sinking again, but it looks like to me it's where it was. It was not jacked up all the way to a level position because they put pressure underneath it to lift it until it started moving the riprap rock. And that's as much as they could lift it. And so they stopped right there. It's still about 3/4 of an inch low or something like that. But I don't think it's sunk any more than it was.
There's several comments from I'm sorry, Ben, I don't mean to, about concrete from each building, not each building, but several buildings. And we did talk about getting somebody to come and look at them all at one time, obviously to save on the costs. But we're having trouble finding a concrete person, is that right?
Yeah, well, when you get to the sidewalks, I think I maybe have that fixed.
Okay.
Now, so when you get there, but that piece that they're talking about that we lifted was where an old tree. We tried to save trees all around here, and they built a curve around a little horseshoe shaped piece there, and that's what it sunk because there was a tree there. The tree had to be taken out, and we had a patch for it. So it sunk right there, basically in the tree stump hole. I mean, it's not much doubt in my mind why it sunk.
So
I don't think it's moved.
So bottom line is the pressure grouting to lift it up can't be used. So the only other fix is to tear the concrete out and re-pour it level with the other, the adjoining parking lot.
I think the vehicle completely covers that when you park there.
Yeah, you don't
It's not
see
like
it.
you're stepping out onto a bad spot, but if there's no vehicle there.
And it's just where you park the car. It doesn't appear to be bad enough to be a trip hazard or anything to me. But I guess that's a matter of opinion. There is a little lip there.
Running out of gas on the gas grills. We talked about putting extra tanks, probably waiting on Jeff.
Yeah,
Now that he's kind of back
that's
in.
on my list of him. The people ran out of fuel time to cooking, which is real frustrating, and especially in the middle of it. But we used to keep an extra bottle at every gazebo, and then we began to have bottles come up basically. So, that's been a long time ago. But we need to find a central location, maybe one or two on this side of the property, and one or two over on the other side, and just a place where there can be an extra bottle in it. event, and everybody know where it is, but we've got to, I want to talk to Jeff a little bit more and get his input on that, because he's the one that's supposed to see about it. He is supposed to light the grills every day. Not happening probably like it used to. That used to be and a lot of people complaining, why they spend so much time at the grills every day. Well, we knew grilling is important when you're out here, and so we used to spend a lot of time there, probably way more than we needed to. But now maybe we're not doing enough, but we'll work on that.
Can I say something about, when Jeff was sick, Justin worked hard. He really did.
Yeah,
I know there probably get a lot of complaints about him, but he really worked hard when Jeff was sick.
we appreciate you saying that.
On the gas valves, we've talked about it, and we'll do this if we get gas bottles being picked up by somebody that shouldn't. Is getting a cable lock on each side over here and over there, and actually putting a cable lock to one of the posts on the gazebo and giving all the homeowners the combination. And that way, you just go, all you gotta do then, you just figure out how to remember.
We had
You know, always store it in your phone or do whatever else, but that way, it'd be there. And one thing that we'd like to ask is that when you do that, don't lose the other bottle. If you leave it there by the grill and it's not connected, Jeff knows it's been replaced. Pick it up, recycle. Anyway, that's the next step if this doesn't work. So we talked about that pretty good.
the suggestion was to put an extra bottle on B, D, G, and O, where everybody would know where it was. And then that would be a reserve bottle.
You still have some of those old reels that he took out? Back over here?
There may be some, from time to time, there gets to be a pile over there.
What I was wondering is if you had a spare one that didn't work.
Yeah.
But it had the storage underneath, you could
Right.
put some in that and put it in the location.
Right.
And still make it change it, but at least it'd be out of the weather. And it'd be a better one. It wouldn't cost anything because you got the little base.
Right.
Store there. I don't know, just a thought.
Okay, D building, D3 concrete that's split in front of D3.
Mhm.
That's another.
Okay, yeah, and this will talk to, E, building 2, the gazebo's getting in really bad shape. For us, I think that sidewalk's raised a good inch this year. I mean, it had been coming up, but the last couple of summers, it's just like bumped up like this high now. Well, I have talked to some people, that, do some concrete work. This is a small job, what would need done. Hard to get somebody to come in and do it. They said that they would be back next week to do some other work for me, and they would get with me and we'd come over here and look at this. I was wondering, I'd been thinking about this for a while, and I know we need to do something. I was wondering if we could just saw it at the expansion joints and I could lift that out with my forklift on the tractor, pull it back out of the way, take care of the root problem underneath, set it back in place. But I don't think that I can do that after looking at it further. I don't think it's gonna work. Our plan for that building was to go in and dig that out and cut those big pine tree roots. You either gotta cut the roots back and figure that they're probably not gonna grow for quite some time and mess it up in the future, they may down the road. Either do that or take those trees out. We're talking about several $1,000 to take the trees down out there. If we could avoid that, it'd be a lot cheaper, and I think it's lasted for 20-something years, so the way it was. And I think if we cut those big trunk roots coming off, it's causing a problem. I don't think they'll maybe not have time to grow back in there, but if somebody's really opposed to that idea, just feel free to holler at me, let me know. But that's what I'm gonna be approaching with next week. And we got some broken walk on the F building, I think over there where the tornado come through a few years ago. And tree fell and just cracked a little place, but there's 3 or 4 little places around on the sidewalks that need attention pretty badly. And we got some requests about some parking lot issues too, but they're a much, much bigger thing to deal with, for sure on that.
The next thing from D was the water quality taste cover.
Any discussion on water?
We've talked extensively about the cost. I think
Not much we can do.
much to be done, put it on the picture.
We did 2 years ago, we found a dead end over here on this side, and we repaired that. Cost a pretty good amount of money to get that loop put in, but to get the water, we were finding that it was dead ending right at Ben's building. And of course, they're gone for a few months in the winter, and they come back home, well, guess what, everything's piled up on the end of that line, and they haven't been here, and all the debris and whatever it might be, we have a lot of iron in the water. That's gonna make it taste a little bit funny, times too. But we got that loop going, so the water has got a path to circle now, which he says is better. You've seen improvement on your filters this year. Feel like
Yeah, of course, filters still get a lot of reddish iron and stuff on them when you change them out. It's just a
Sure.
matter of
Yeah.
changing them more often.
There's not much we can do to change the water we have. We can just treat it at each unit, which I'm on it too. I'm on the very same well y'all are on. And, I'm not having much problems with discoloration or anything that I see over there. We run a lot of water. Y'all are not here much. That's the problem. 4 hours creates stagnant water in the water line. You need to flush your lines as much as you could. We're on a well, and granted it takes power to run the well, but it's not like we're paying an enormous water bill here for excess run usage. So if you flush your lines a little bit, it can help you too.
How do we flush our lines?
Oh, just open up some, if you've been gone, Bobby, if you've been gone a week or two, just turn things on and run a little bit. It even gets so bad here if you're gone for a month. Sometimes the traps dry out. People come in and they got an awful odor in their condos, but even be surprised how quickly a trap will run dry in there. So it's good to go around and just run a little water in every sink and flush some stuff through when you get here.
All right, we've got some questions here from Marilyn Rolette that's watching us online. Back to the windows, she had a question. Are the windows ordered for G1 and G3 fiberglass?
They are supposed to be ordered. I was actually going to get in touch with y'all, Maryland, and ask if you got a confirmation on it. The checks have been given to the Pella Man. People's lives are really messed up, with all this sickness and COVID and things. And he's actually had 2 deaths, his father and his brother-in-law, in the past 3 weeks. He's had a real upside down thing going on with him. So I was hoping that maybe I gave him Morris's email address, and I was hoping that he emailed confirmations to y'all if they were done. Because I got confirmations on N1 and N2, and I thought he would copy me on the G units, but I haven't seen anything. And I just, out of respect, he lost his brother-in-law last week. All this was really unexpected, and I just hadn't bothered him much about it just yet. I was planning to first of the week. Let's see. So I'm guessing she hasn't received anything.
She says, yes, Pella contacted Morris.
Oh, okay, good. Good. That means they're ordered, so we're good.
So they're ordered.
Yeah.
Okay, she has a separate issue in G1. They have been smelling an awful smell. It smells like septic, and she's wondering what to do about it.
Well, usually if you're smelling it, it's a dry trap. I mean, there's not much way you're gonna get sewer gas back in the unit without having a dry trap somewhere in the house. It could even be, odor coming from the AC unit. I noticed you had a new AC unit ready to be installed in there, and if you've had your old one shut down, for any length of time, that trap on the condensation drain from the AC unit is let odor back in before too. So it's typically always a trap,
And also, Maryland and all the homeowners need to remember when you leave for several months to drain some water into all of your sink drains, your tub, shower drains, so that there's water in the trap to prevent smell from coming back up from the sewer.
Yeah, I think if they'll go turn on each faucet at each location, let it run for about 15 seconds. That'll fill that trap up, and then check, let the smell dissipate if it's going to, and then you'll find out whether you cured the problem or not.
I believe that they have installed dehumidifiers in those units. I may be wrong, but I think there's maybe 2 active dehumidifiers in there, maybe in those units. And if you're running a dehumidifier, it will dry the traps out pretty quick. I mean, it doesn't take many weeks, many days. If you're bringing your humidity down, say under 60%, you're gonna dry out everything in the house pretty good.
Yeah, she commented back, good idea, we'll do that.
Okay, so building E, of course, the pets, that comes up every year. I don't know how to explain it, control it. We're open for suggestions. Some of us don't have any pets, some of us have too many pets, and some of us don't care.
If they're moving into a new house.
Yes, out of E building, yes.
That unit, yeah, I don't think
Sure
it's
they won't
out.
leave the dogs.
It's gonna be for sale. I don't think that Lisa would care at all for us telling you this. I think a lot of you already know, but they are moving in a new home, and that unit will be up for sale soon. So just so you know, everyone will be notified when it comes into play. But if anybody here has any interest in it in the next few weeks or months, here real soon, you're probably gonna see it come up on the website that they are gonna sell it because they're building a home.
What unit is it?
That,
Ellinger's.
the Allen
E4.
E4. So if anybody's got in their mind, they like a walk-in or something, it's an opportunity that's probably gonna come up.
I think the pet rules are being obeyed a little bit better than they used to be, but there's still a lot of people that are not cleaning up poop. And I've stepped in it, and that makes me mad.
My dog even got it one day, and she just.
So if the board has discussed possibly putting some stations, 2 or 3 around, where people have a place to pick poop up to put it, but we got garbage cans already all over the place. You just need to
Those things that
remember.
are commercially available are very expensive.
Yeah, there's a huge expense to installing those, but
But we could make a homemade bucket to put it in, if that's,
It's to me mostly a matter of everybody just,
it's just
you
people.
love your pets,
They
but
do.
everybody else don't love your pets, and we know you do. So it's just to be respectful to each other.
okay, also building E, they had some requests for a fire pit. We talked about that. Not that it's completely off the table. We don't know about liabilities as far as that goes. Right now, it's more of an expense thing.
There's a couple around, the portable fire pits. I have one from my camper that I carry with me because they don't allow you in campgrounds to have open fires hardly anywhere anymore. We do down here. But if you travel a little bit, you have to have a fire pit. If you had we got a couple that have got them. They got a little grill that goes on top of them, and they're very safe. And they can just be set over when they're done the next day over into the edge of the beds around the units. So we don't feel like that there's much problem with that for the time being. If you want to have a little fire, we don't really have a good, if we put a fire pit down in this hollow down here, you're going to suddenly have a lot of more interaction with these people that are staying in the resort. That's,
What about on the beach?
well, that's what I'm talking about. If we built, we could.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if we build one down there, which is the perfect place for it, and that would be to me where to put it, probably if you put a community one. But it will also might encourage some parties and stuff down there later than y'all would like times. I don't know. It's just something to think about.
Well, when the board discussed it, we were concerned about liability too, and our insurance costs are astronomical already. Yeah, it could affect our insurance premium.
Well, it's not off the table from my understanding. It's not in the budget for this next coming year.
Yeah, just to see,
And if obviously, if you want to get a portable fire pit, that's okay, just move it out of the way from the yard mowing.
It just needs to be, way away from from the building. The problem,
Down at the grill area.
it would be nice if you could get something right, probably more near there, because that's where we're used to having fires. The other problem that you got is this where the roof side, and when the side goes dormant, it's a bad thing when a little fire gets on it. It can happen quick, and you can get, I've had it happen to me, and it'll get away from you before you know it. I mean, you think if you are gonna have a fire, I'd encourage you to have it near where there's water hose. In the event of something popped out on the ground, that dry Bermuda will burn before you can stop.
Okay, building F, the water spigots, which we've already talked about. Active leak by the dumpster.
Yeah, part of the water faucet.
That's right, okay.
Yeah.
And then the work request, which is on the website. I don't really know what that means. Something said about a dog park, which I don't think we have the property to do that, so that answers that. Buildings G and Q, I guess N, O, and B, Laney. The golf carts having no unit number posted on both sides of the golf carts. I don't think that's a big problem right now, but anyway, if you don't have numbers, we ask that you do. Building N, framing around the exterior windows, rotting, sliding glass doors, which we've already got fixed. Article 8 and L to customize golf carts. Unit display, that's asking us again to display the unit numbers and the youthful drivers, not to allow, I mean, the law states that they have to be 16, right, to operate a golf cart. And that's pretty much what we go by here, is that they need to be 16 as well, because that's.
Unless they're government dogs in the vehicle building.
And that's really not legal there, but that should be permissible down here to me, if the adults act responsible.
They gotta learn how to drive somehow.
Really. We get a car when they're 16, we never navigated anything.
The reserve study, which we've talked about for several years now, and there's been some complications with that, but I don't know, Rusty, do you want to talk about that, or you just?
We're gonna try to make a conscious effort to approach it again. And I think I've told you this every fall since we've been here. That's why I said a lot of times, we've got a great board, with the exception of me at times. But the hold up on the reserve study, I'll take full responsibility for it, because it involves, I'm gonna have to do every inch of it with them. And last 2-3 years, I really hadn't had a lot of time. By the time I get my projects wound up and kind of see about things around here, I'm kind of out of juice by this time of year. And so we're going to try to approach it sometime after the first of the year, see if we can get them in here to give us an idea of where we need to go with the reserve primarily, and what to expect in the near and distant future, expense-wise.
We've kind of set out some different contacts for that too, maybe some different sources, right, from my understanding. There was, and I don't know how this came into play, but I think Natalie, were you in the building committee's meeting?
Yes.
They stated that the HOA fees did increase, and I don't know why that's even on here in 2020, but they did not. Just FYI, anybody that they did not increase in 2020. Building H, Lowell Brown still had flooding in his parking lot. That's another parking lot concrete issue.
That's going
to be a big expense, but it is.
Well, yeah, we've had, again, I had a concrete guy come over here and tell me he would come do it. He planned to score that concrete. He said he could create some drainage to get that water to move off of the concrete. He never showed up. I'm gonna show it to these people that are coming next week and get their input on it. But realistically, we've been told the best thing we can do is tear it out and report, which is gonna be, we're gonna have to plan for that. But it just puddles water right there in the, there's a little bit of water stands on that parking area there when it rains. Doesn't leave.
I think over the years, it just settled some, and it created a little low spot there at the ponds. But it's gonna be a pretty expensive fix.
Well, we gotta get somebody here to do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna show it to them. We don't, at this point, right now, we don't know what to do, or what or when we're gonna actually try to approach that. My plan was to try to get these people to do the sidewalks in the next couple of weeks. These guys are in between houses right now, and they're not, if you can get a painter or a concrete guy or anybody that's got time to work for you, we need to grab them quick. It's so hard to get them, everybody's covered up.
Had a complaint about the bug people just opening the door, but that's been resolved. He is no longer with them, from what we understand.
Yeah, I think they had a bad bug man. We've had to change, they've had to replace them a time or two over the years. But the guy, the good thing is if there's a young guy with a bald head, real friendly shows up. His name is, I lost it, but he's the owner's son, and he's been coming up.
He's really good.
And I don't know why I can't think of their name, but anyway, if you see, you'll know. I mean, he's just friendly as he can be. So I wish he would be the one to come over here all the time. He's probably not going to be, but he's aware of the problems we've had, and he knows, and they care, and it's his family business. They've been there. They want to be sure that we're happy over here, but I think they go in some meetings sometimes, it just kind of gets redundant. It doesn't look like anybody's there, or maybe you knock about the time they're unlocking the door, and maybe you walk right into somebody.
We got
I think this was the last one. Was is this the new company that started this month?
Well, it's the same company. It's the very
Just a
same
new guy.
company. I just had an employee.
a new guy, he's real nice,
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
but I think he oversprays.
He oversprayed our, cause usually they just been spraying in the corners, taking about 2 minutes in the whole place.
He sprayed up and down every
He
wall,
sprayed.
and then the stuff don't evaporate. You got, it looks like a strip of
Yeah.
clear liquid all around you.
He had a guy with him. Were there two people that day?
Yeah.
Okay, well, one of them was the owner's son, and the other one was a new guy they were training. And they do art in my house too, and stuff.
I'm not complaining how much you used it.
Yeah.
Was it like the other one? And
Well, we were afraid our dog would lick it,
Yeah, I don't,
She licks on everything.
But I have seen a dead roach.
Probably got rid of all the bugs. as
Yeah,
much
you
as
don't
he
have any
sprayed.
bugs.
yeah, and they're doing outside spraying and stuff, but it hasn't been being done. I know there's some other companies in town, that, like my mom lives in Gleason, a few miles away from here, and the people that do hers are a different company. And they're spraying outside the house and all that
That's what
stuff,
they
you
did
know?
here too.
Well, now we're getting that here. I didn't even know that was part of what they're supposed to be doing. But I think we're getting, I don't know about the dried residual stuff that's there, if it's harmful.
We never
I
had
don't
any
know
bugs.
either, but it takes it forever to dry.
We
Yeah,
had a whole army, a whole, state of ants, and, we took everything out of our cabins. And we, they left them out in there sitting around for about a week because we put that taro down everywhere.
right.
And that will kill them.
Mhm.
So I think we need to start it before they come,
Yeah,
I got the same problem.
yeah, the ants are,
That's what I do. I put that rock and that stuff down. They eat it up.
yeah, if you'll put a little bait down and we'll get them.
Oh,
And they come back and spray. I mean, I have to call them 4 or 5 times a year to come over and spray for ants. Because some of the owners will do what you did and take the
Take
first
time.
step and try to get rid of it. And then others, just want me to call them and have them come back and spray. Now they don't charge us extra to come back. But
we
it's,
got rid of them because that's what, last year we used taro. And it's a little liquid thing that you put down. And at first, it was completely full of ants. I mean, they love that stuff. So,
yeah, it works. I mean, all they gotta do is get a little bait, take it back to the colony.
It takes about 2 days to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, on building H, freezing on the steps, use something safe because some of the steps had to be repaired from some.
Yeah. We got
Salt.
some concrete, we got some concrete damage and it's typically people that are here all the time don't know what to do. They get a little ice and put some stuff out there, and all the concrete damage really is over around y'all's old building, H building, is where the bulk of it's wound up being a little bit, I noticed on G building, but, it's just, I don't know what's, salt's what everybody thinks of and use, but that destroys our concrete, particularly with steps. It'll just dissolve the concrete in the staircase.
It makes it tough when we use it, if you know it's gonna snow, you'll spray it on there, and keep it off. It's gotta be pretty. It can't be after it snows. And it doesn't harm plants, it doesn't harm the.
You can use that farm chemical too. What is that?
If,
Or
if you, Dan, if you would, send me a link to that sometime, because we could get some for Jeff and Justin,
Just
and, to do ahead of things, and, it's probably difficult for them to get every staircase here, but you kind of know when the storm's
Who's here,
coming, who's here.
yeah.
And odds are nobody's gonna drive in down here on the dead end road in a bad snowstorm, I don't think. So we could take care of a lot of it if it is what you use.
But we don't need to use salt, especially on the sidewalk. So we need to find something different.
Yeah. That added to the parking lot problem at H Road too. It's a lot of, and across the road in the 2-bedroom units, there's a lot of concrete damage, and I think it's from salt.
Okay, and so Jane, as far as you know, Chuck is gonna remain the administrator of the Facebook. He's fine, just continue that.
Please don't do it.
Okay. We'll assume yes, don't
Better
look,
speak
Ben,
now.
because he says no. Okay, so everybody knows the work orders are on the website. You know how to get on the website if you don't see Ben afterwards. The building representatives are gonna fill these spots, right, Natalie? These open spots of the building representatives. I think Lanny's, was Lanny gonna continue or?
Yes.
Okay, but y'all are gonna handle all that. We don't need to address that. Okay, so that's it on that.
Any other questions on the membership committee? Anything online or whatever?
Tennessee, 21 to done.
All right. We didn't get through this, y'all. We gotta go. Yeah. We ordinarily used to schedule this meeting on a weekend when Tennessee
Did not play.
didn't play, because it really gets people anxious. When
They've been
bad
We've
last
had a few
years, it's not
walkouts
hard
already.
to miss it,
There've been so bad the last few years, nobody cared.
If you have anybody who wants to serve on the building representatives committee, we're always welcoming. And good.
Well, there's several vacant buildings. I know D, but we recommended Donna to do that building.
That'd be great. Gives me the contact info.
And then I'm not sure about the other ones.
I know Laney is, serving as building representative graciously for multiple buildings.
Right.
So again, it's great to have that, I love that, but I think the biggest thing is our goals are to improve just the communication, with the homeowners in each building. And so it's really not, a lot to what we do. I'm new at this, but, mainly it's just facilitating, information and communication is all. So it's, if you serve, it's not, so far, from what I know, it's not a very labor intensive role.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
If there's not any more discussion, we can get into the actual budget part of the
Can I
meeting.
ask you something?
Sure.
Okay. We've had a lot of people ask us, and we just say, we don't know really. Are you gonna open the restaurant again?
Doesn't like putting you on the spot.
all right.
Well, no.
No, that's a good answer.
It's in the, your advertisements for the cabins and everything.
I think we've removed the majority of that on the website.
I was just looking around one day.
Yeah, I think it was up for maybe longer. Of course, we didn't have a full, idea of what we were gonna do moving forward. We had a pretty good idea, but, until we got into this year, and no, we will not open the restaurant again. It's not gonna be feasible in this workforce that's available out here right now. We could barely hold a 3-person team together to clean the rooms this summer. And quite honestly, from a selfish point of view, from my selfish side, I've dealt with a restaurant since before Pam and I married in the early 80s. And every day of my life, we were open and had to deal with it. And since it's gone, it has changed things for us a lot as far as operations. I'm sorry for people that have to make their living in the food business. We never, at one point in time, years ago at the old restaurant, we used to make a living out of the food business, out of the restaurant business, Pam and I did. And as time went on and we took on more responsibilities in the resort, we had to get management to come in. Long story short, it's really hard to make any kind of profit in a seasonal business. I don't care how busy you are on Saturday and Sunday, you got the rest of the week and all those bills that go along with it. So it has always been a losing proposition. As y'all know, since we moved in that building, it's just how much money you're gonna lose this year, depending on how many repairs you had to make and it's just been a tough thing. So as a business, we're not going back into the restaurant business. It's not a very good option for a lot of people, and we have some complaints and comments here and there, and we recognize that, but I just don't think that given the congestion that's in the area, it's just became time, and we got forced out and away, but we're probably gonna stay out.
Could you just put that ice cream machine on?
I'm gonna put it in my house. We did talk about putting that up at the docks. We're gonna add a little more as time goes on to the dock store. It's not ideal, we know that. And it's just if you can get a beat 'em up sandwich or something on property, but I'm sorry, I know you all, a lot of you loved it. It was a love-hate thing with us. I don't think anybody anywhere near ate as much and relied on it for day-to-day meals as we did. And, we really miss it, but it's just we had trouble pre-pandemic, and I don't know that if I was in the restaurant business, I'd be looking to get me a food truck, something I could run myself, because you can't rely on the workforce right now in that area at all. You really can't.
Personally, what I miss the most is this socializing.
Mm-hmm.
Go over there several times a week and you see the fishermen, and I think, by living here all the time, you talk to them and it makes them feel good that the locals are interested in them, and talk to the fishing guides, and you talk to all of your family, and I really miss it.
Yeah, we do. And we fully understand that it's not, we hadn't torn the kitchen out, we hadn't moved it. I need to put a roof on the building. It's steep enough, it's not leaking right now. So I'm just, I'm going to continue to maintain the building. We had all the equipment up and running this year, and we're just, if we could go in and cook a meal pretty quickly if we needed to. And we're debating on what's going to happen to that building, but at the moment, we do not have plans to reopen it at this time.
If someone were interested in coming over and taking it, would you consider the possibility of renting the building to somebody who might take over and run it?
We've certainly talked about that, and unfortunately, I wouldn't be interested at this moment. And my reasons are, it's in the heart of the resort. Anybody that fails or does a terrible job at things, it's going to be a direct reflection on the Buchanan Resort. And I don't trust anybody to do it. I really don't. The people that I know in the food business in town, and I know one in particular, and I've talked to this person over several years about what to do. I said, man, it's just such a burden. You can't believe how it drags our family. Because when that place goes sour, all of a sudden, it's all hands on deck. Forget what's going on anywhere else around the property. You got to run in there and bail them out. And it was a frequent thing. But I talked to this person about that very thing. But again, business may change in 3 or 4 years. You don't know. Right now, we don't have room for a crowd of people coming in from the Pine Point community and all to come in here, even to park to eat, when it's normal busy weekends. There's just not any space. When the building was built, it was built to pick up and move. I knew I had to move it back in '97 when I built it. I knew right to hold White when he built it. I said, build it where it's easy to pick up and move, because it can't sit here forever. I just knew it, and we hadn't even built it yet. And there's been some mistakes along the way, and I just don't have any property to put it. There was an opportunity or two that came up that I knew too little, too late. And matter of fact, the property right up there where y'all's built. I didn't know it was for sale until I drove back and saw a sign.
That could be a restaurant, I guess.
Yeah, I said, hey,
Price is right.
what's up? So idiots built y'all a restaurant up there. Yeah, but a deal like that, I didn't know that property was there. That was ideal for us to just pick that building up, set it up here on that corner. There's enough parking and everything, and then you could lease it. But unfortunately, I don't have anywhere to put it right now. I really don't.
Get rid of some of these trailers over here and put one in there.
They're making me money.
There you go.
That's a profit.
Mhm. That's not an option.
For the restaurant where you lose one.
Yeah,
We move on to the
yeah, that's
budget.
about the kind of thing I've done in time to do. It wouldn't be out of line for me to do something.
There's a couple along there that need to be bought and going down,
Yeah,
right next to where you all bought.
yeah,
Agree with that.
That'd be a space and.
yeah. Well, it's
If you ever get one of those lots. It's sure cleaned up in the last 10 years.
it has, you
Still
know.
a few that need to be good.
Jeff and April took the first big step up there and put up a fence and kind of created a barrier. And they were pretty ballsy there, I guess.
But in that thought, like Ben said, I know my daughter and the kids is missing bad,
Yeah,
but if it were even that close,
yeah,
say
oh,
right
yeah,
next to their property,
right,
you could still ride a dog park up there, and it would work
right.
for our community here.
Yeah, you're right. And for what it's worth, I don't know how y'all feel about our local bar, locals. Their food's getting better all the time.
Yeah.
It really is. They've got restraints. That's a pretty congested building with all the COVID and stuff going on. I can see why a person might not necessarily want to be in there right now, but they're improving. They're picking up their food quality. They're adding some equipment. So maybe that'll.
And they do to go. I mean, we do a lot of to go.
Pick up there.
Breakfast, dinner,
We're doing good. We gotta get through.
I
Can we
know.
start? the
Let's
budget?
start the budget or call an order for pizza or something.
Don't tell them the score anymore, I gotta take.
Does anyone need a copy of this proposed budget? Anybody got
Everybody got a copy?
a copy? Tell me again, remind me what this budget's proposed on a small quarterly increase, and it went to,
1065.
Huh?
1065.
Okay.
3 bedroom,
$40 increase on 3 bedrooms.
and a $30 increase on 2.
okay, that's $830 on 2 bedroom, $1,065 a quarter on 3 bedrooms, what this is based on. It's what the proposal was, a slight increase this year.
Remember, there was no increase last year at all. So really, year over year, it was about 2%. So that's not much.
When we get here on the budget review, the first thing listed is the reserve account balance, which currently today is $43,578.19. We're making a little interest, $5 or $6 a month on that. That includes 3 transfers for the first 3 quarters of this year, the dedicated transfers, which we have not made in nearly 2 years. We've been dipping into reserves because we've been so aggressively repairing things around here property-wise. So we made all of our allocated distributions to the reserve account. We will make the third one as soon as a little more money rolls in here, which I've got some checks I need to deposit first of the week. Right now, the outstanding balance in reserve, I think, is about 30. I mean, in the of the budget is about $34,000. I think we've got still to record for the fourth quarter. And we currently got money in the bank. I don't feel, and I could disappear here, but I could study that from now to the end of the year is what I usually do, look at 2 or 3 years past. I don't feel like that we're gonna have any issues with money restraints through the end of this year. I think you're gonna have even a little extra money would be my gut feeling to transfer to reserve. The reserve funds need to be higher than they are, but we know why they're not right now. So,
What were they this time last year?
well, they were about 37,000. Yeah, something like that.
That's good.
Yeah.
You're in the right
So we're bumping up. If we can, put a little extra money in this year, or the budget we got going, we do our quarterlies, you can see it get back up there a little bit, back where it is, where it needs to be. The next thing we got on here is a kind of something that probably caught some people's eyes, was discuss requiring future new buyers to put $1,000 into reserve account, buy into the account basically. It was something that Ben had noticed in a place where he owns property that's kind of commonly being done in places. I don't know, we got it down here because we wanted to talk to you about it.
Yeah, the idea of it is, people that have been here for many years have paid to get the property up to the standard it is now, over the years, they paid money in. Now, granted, when you buy a place, that's considered in the price you decide to pay to buy it. But this $1,000 would come out of closing, so I don't think you'd even miss it. It's just part of the closing cost when you buy, and that kind of gets you some skin in the game to make up for the fact that you haven't been here putting money into the property. And
it'd be required to go into the reserve fund. And that's where it needs to go. And if you think about it, it's a real small percentage of a purchase price of a unit. So when you look at it like that, it's probably 0.25% or a third, somewhere around there. So it's very, very little.
But we just got to looking at, we got, 5, 6 new homeowners this year. We had about the same last year. If this had been in effect for the last 2 or 3 years, our reserve fund would look a whole lot better. And like I say, granted, you new homeowners, it would have cost y'all $1,000 a piece, but it would have been part of your closing costs. And if you're like me, you probably wouldn't have even thought anything about it. You'd say, well, that's, what we have to do to live there. And I found that out in the new place we're buying in Florida. We had to pay $2,000. And
25,000 extra dollars down because it was low on the condo that I bought it. So I mean, I would have been opposed to 1,000 instead of 25,000.
Yeah. So anyway, it's just an idea that we can discuss. It doesn't affect any of us. It's going to affect the future people. So it's easy to vote for costing them money.
So you're saying I got in under
Right in the nick of time.
I'm all for it.
So the primary purpose is to build a reserve.
Building up the
What
reserve.
if you have somebody move from one end to another? Would that be considered?
Well, it could be an exception possibly. I mean, it's just whatever y'all want. What we do here, the decisions we all make, is what we want the future of this place to be. And our reserves are way too low. That place we're buying at in Florida, the reserves are $12 million. We got 40 or 50,000. That's the difference. But, well, that place is 70 times bigger than this.
Well, there you go.
But my point is, if you divide 70 if you divide 70 into 12 million, that's still way more money than what we have.
I mean, that's not gonna catch it up, obviously, in the near future, but it, would be something that over time would.
And the big thing, honestly, we need to consider is when we start the cycle of re-roofing the buildings. We have 13 buildings, and each one on the average is gonna cost you, right now, probably $14,000 to re-roof it. And that's gonna go up, especially with today's material prices. And so, we've got to prepare for that cycle starting again. Right now, our roofs are all in good shape, but 5 or 6 years from now, we're gonna have to start re-roofing them. And if you do it a couple a year, that's a lot of money, and we've got to have the money there when the time comes.
So is that something we need to vote on now or vote on later, or?
I think it needs to be done now. And I'd suggest that, we would entertain a motion, to the effect that we would add $1,000 to each purchase price, to go specifically designated to go to the reserve fund, with an exception that if an existing homeowner buys another unit in the Pleasant Place Homeowner Association group and sells their unit that they sell would require the $1,000 to be paid, but they wouldn't be required to pay on the unit that they purchased.
Would you feel like that since that's opening up another unit to sell, that if they were planning to keep their other unit, that they should have to pay the $1,000 on the
Yeah,
second?
if they keep the unit and just buy an additional unit, they'd have to pay it. But if they were selling their unit and buying another one, just kind of moving from one side of the street to the other, then you don't have to pay it. But whoever buys their unit would have to pay it.
I'll second that motion.
Oh, so I make.
I was like.
I'm okay with that.
All right, motion by Eddie.
Jane, did you have a question, or?
I was just gonna comment that I think this is something that's pretty commonly done now. When we bought our house in Franklin 4 years ago, we had paid $1,000 to get into that HOA. So I don't think it's anything uncommon or.
I don't think $1,000 is gonna keep somebody from
And
buying
it's not a
what
deal
they
breaker.
want.
If it does, they probably don't need to buy it.
Well, and it can be negotiated between the seller and the buyer, depending on how that goes, and $1,000, one way or the other isn't gonna matter, I don't think.
We own 2/3 of our unit, and always have, and Mike and his wife own a third, and they're selling to me. We're gonna buy them out. And just got to call the attorney, gives us the paperwork here, and so sometime between now and the end of the year. I don't think that would affect me, because I'm already know.
I would-
I'm on 100%.
You're buying an existing unit.
I mean, I already.
Yeah.
buy the rest of it.
Buy the rest of it, I don't think that would apply.
This wouldn't start until January.
Yeah.
Well, is there any more discussion? This vote, I mean, we just doing an all-high vote if we want to on this? You need to show, does anybody have any reserves about it? I mean, it kind of, when Ben mentioned it, I'd never thought about it before. It took me a minute to swallow it, but I thought, well, that'd be a good way to supplement some problems at the moment. If not, there's a motion on the table by Eddie Burks. It's kind of a long one. I don't remember, you want to state it again?
I think Ben's
Why
got
don't you
it.
read back what you got?
Request for a motion to be made, add $1,000 to purchase price of a new unit.
That was
You
short.
got to put the exception in there.
Really?
Talk to you
Your
about that.
exception is what we want.
Don't you sass me.
Unless homeowner
Already has an existing unit.
already has an existing unit.
But it's,
And they purchase another unit and sell the existing unit. That could probably be cleaned up, so I'm not.
Yeah.
Or
You could just say they switch units.
But if they add an existing unit, then they do have to pay it, right?
Yeah,
If you add an existing
The
unit,
ads, you have to
I think
pay
the
what
language-
exists if you just switch.
It said if you purchase another unit and sell your unit. So that kind of,
but if you just purchase a second unit or third or fourth, like Eddie, then you don't have to do it. Or you do have to do
No, you do that.
it. You do have to
Maintaining possession.
Do I have to read this back? by the way?
Y'all wanna hear it again or not? I think we're good, probably. That motion.
I don't think we need to say it's actually added to the selling price. It's actually a separate line
Yes,
do it. Right.
it's be part of closing cost.
It'll be in the closing
of
cost.
ours.
A buyer's fee or like a pay-in to the homeowners.
Or a transfer, it's the homeowner's transfer.
Required to go into the reserve account.
Yes.
That motion's been made, seconded by Jeff. Can we call for a vote? All in favor, say aye, please. Any opposed?
So, that's the question I have.
that's effective the first of the year, is what we're saying.
How will that get communicated to people selling? I mean, if that is part of closing costs.
Well, we'll do what we always do with April and Ben, will notify everybody by way of email or whatever, however they do that, that it's gonna be a part of it. And typically, when a unit does come up for sale, I'll wind up in the midst of it just almost always. And I'll make sure that I'm, reminding people of that. That's about all I know.
When it, usually before it goes to closing, you have to
Yeah.
provide documentation anyway, and that'll just. be
Yeah, I
part of
usually have
that.
to send them, I always typically have to send a letter. Fortunately, the real estate people realize now that the board's got approved any sale goes through here because to protect y'all. And,
Well, we have first right to buy it too.
that's the,
Homeowners have first right on any side.
So I have to send them a letter and, to closing, and in that letter, we can reiterate the fact that there will be $1,000 due at closing to the Pleasant Place Homeowner Association for that too. All right. Where are we now?
I don't even know.
Are we back to the budget?
Back to the budget.
This Tennessee's still 28,000?
Okay, Dix, should we, do we have to go through each line or is there? It's pretty self-explanatory, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
The main thing is on the salaries. Do we need to address that now? The
Yeah.
salaries.
let's go ahead and do that because the rest of it, we can just start at the top and I'll call off each column. And if there's any questions, we'll explain it. But, go ahead, you got that there. Tell them.
Well, I don't really remember the
Well-
figures. Okay, so, Jeff was getting his normal raise that he usually gets every year. Jeff, the maintenance guy. As Donna pointed out, while Jeff was gone, Justin has really stepped it up. And for y'all that don't or didn't know him, before the past 6 months or so, we feel like he's really taken on some responsibility. He filled in while Jeff was gone completely and never really missed a beat. We feel like he's got some value about him now. He's got the trimming down, the pool is down, the basic day-to-day maintenance stuff. He's probably not the handyman that Jeff is, but
No.
he's definitely evolved into, much better than when he first started out.
Yeah.
We have recognized that in what we budgeted for his hourly compensation for the coming year.
So basically, and I know everybody's hiring, but you've seen that most people have increased their starting salary. So we felt like he was a little bit more valuable to us than what he was actually making initially. And I don't have that figure, Rusty. If I do, I don't know.
Did we go from that?
Went to $11.
Went to 11. He's currently been paid $9.50 an hour. And we hired him as part-time, a few years ago, because he lives with Jeff right up the road up here. And we hired him part-time help because Jeff needed some extra help. And it just took him a while to warm up. He's a real quiet person and a little bit shy. And when Jeff got sick, I mean, it really woke him up. We'd already decided what we wanted to do before that, but all of a sudden Jeff pops up sick, and I come down here a couple times to help him with some things with the pool. And you could tell that he knew that all of a sudden, hey, this is on me. He started taking pictures of the pool valves, and he's showing him what to do and making notes and stuff. And I think we've got the possibility down the road of those two reversing positions. Jeff's not going to be able to do what he's been doing for us forever. And of course, maybe he can train Justin to know more how to take care of things. Jeff's got a lot of skills, whether you know it or not, that you just acquire over a long period of time and being kind of gifted too. But he has so many lung issues right now. He's quit smoking, y'all. He quit. As far as I know, he's still not smoking. It's been a month now. And he looks 10 years younger. But if Jeff didn't quit smoking, Jeff wasn't going to be here a whole lot longer, you know. So they've all got kind of scared of him, but that's kind of the background on what we're seeing. We need to get Justin more important. Jeff told me last year when I went to him and told him, I said, Jeff, they voted to give you a $25 an hour raise again. He said, well, I don't really need that. That he's to the point where he realizes that his role is going to diminish a little bit in time, going to need to slow down. But if we can keep him, probably at some point we'll have to think about salary adjustments depending on what he's doing. But right now we voted to give him a $25 a week raise like always and raise Justin to 11.
I'd like to say too that I worked real closely with both of them putting the handrails in, both last year and this year. And, you know, we put half of them in last year and half this year. Well, there's light years difference in Justin from last year to this year. He remembered how we did it last year, and without even telling him, he would go get stuff, put it together, and he really impressed me as being a good worker.
I think he's got a good future for us, I hope. I really do. But we do need a motion if y'all are in agreement or got more questions about that. We need a motion to accept these pay raise proposals. Justin's will go into effect January 1 and Jeff's will go into effect April 1. We don't give him the raise until season hits because he doesn't work the hours in the winter that he does in the on season. So typically his hits April and Justin would be effective January.
Do we need a motion to approve that specifically? Can we just do a motion to approve the whole?
Just approve the pay raise package would be fine, I would think.
Yes.
Okay, also move that we improve the pay raise package. I'll say it.
Motion's been made by Ms. Jane Garrett and Ms. Hunt. We seconded the motion, and we all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Now, the rest of this, I guess we just need to go up here. Again, we know the fees we're working with, and underneath it, if y'all want to start there at the automobile expense on your report, and look down through there, and the first thing you see that you want to know what the heck you're spending that much money on, please speak up. I don't think we have to go in any particular order, but it'd be easier to start at the top on automobile. Your corporate report, your donations are pretty standard. The dues and subscriptions, all that's pretty fixed. It hasn't changed over the years, not anything. The equipment thing for $750 is there in case we got to buy a blower, got to buy some small piece of equipment. We bought a new pool pump this year, early in the spring. The other one was squalling. We turned it on and I went ahead and bought one. I was afraid we didn't, the shortages of things, I was afraid we didn't have it. So I bought it ahead of time.
Maybe you all close the pool and you open it.
It's usually open in by about the 1st of May. The Memorial Day to Labor Day is typical pool season, for the old time way of thinking it. But it's so much prettier when it's clean and running. We try to keep this one running until it gets really cold weather where you don't see anybody out there or begins to get pretty cool. You'll cover it sometime this month, and but it should open back up in latter part of April, early May. And April, have to get some new lounge chairs, if y'all hadn't noticed out there, we couldn't buy the old, the old chairs, you couldn't get them. For 2 years now, you couldn't get the old cheap ones, you had to go and spend a little more money, which is great, we needed better chairs and all, so she found these, and we got some chairs, we got a good long warranty on them, and a lot heavier duty plastic, and, instead of spending 60 years, well, they got up to about $100 on the old chairs, and these wound up with, what, 300 or something? 350?
Yeah, if they got a good.
These are-
guarantee on
They got
it.
a
They got a good one.
20
good
guarantee.
These are strong.
But they'll last a good bit longer. I dare say they'd last 3 times longer than the other ones, which 2 to 3 years is all you're gonna get out of them.
And incidentally, last year, we budgeted $10,000 for capital improvement type stuff. The chairs were what, 2,800 or something like that. The handrails were around 4,600, I think, 4,700. And then the pool pump. So, we stayed within the 10,000 total. That's all we've spent this year out of the ordinary, other than maintenance stuff.
The next item that pops up here, insurance, that's liability and property insurance for everyone here. We did have small increases coming year. It had already jumped up pretty high, but the increase was fairly minimal. I don't recall exactly what it was, but condo insurance insurance in general is just kind of a big, kind of tough market sometimes, but that's basically close to what we paid last year. Lawn care, that includes anything done out in the grass, mowing, spraying, shrub repair, replacement. We have mowed a lot for 3 years. We haven't missed it. Usually some summers we don't spend as much on the lawn mowing side of things because of dry weather, but that's kept us in line. We're pretty well on track there.
So do they come in, you call them every week, or do you just have them set up every week?
Well, initially we communicate for the first part of the year, and they come when I tell them to. And then once we get into Bermuda starts greening up and growing, we just go to an automatic once a week until I tell them to hold up if it gets dry. And they're about done. This last mowing probably is going to hold us. We'll probably get them to come in one more time with my thinking, a little bit later in the year when we've had a bit of cold weather, we know the growing season's over, and then cut that down a little lower where we can get rid of leaves easier and stuff like that. But we're about through, license and permits, that permits your pool permit. The $8,000 maintenance is to wash your buildings. $6,000 manager services is my compensation. That's something that I would like to remind again that we were really there. I just got something in the last few days from a local restoration and cleaning company and all that they offer property management services. At some point, y'all need a new property manager. We do. I keep saying y'all. I do. Well, Pam's not it, so I guess it's us. I don't mean it wrong, but we really do need somebody that's probably more scheduled than I am and more to do this job. But right now, that's what that money goes for.
20, 30 years.
Don't want to make it that long. Let's see. Payroll expenses, that $182 is our accountant runs the, which is Christie's husband, his office. Yeah. They manage the payroll for us. They just direct deposit into Jeff and Justin's account each week, which has worked great. It's really, really good because I can tell you the times over the years I've been out of town, something gets screwed up. Jeff didn't get his paycheck because something happened, and I had to do some creative things time to. Works out real good. They're getting direct deposit each week, but that $182 is processing fees. Payroll taxes, printing and reproduction. That $1,000 was for stickers. And anything related to,
Way under budget.
yeah, related, we put that there last year because they knew that we were gonna build this entrance, and we put that money in the budget last year and kept it in there for the coming year, because there may be a little evolution that takes place on what we need to, and that it won't be spent unless it's something, you know, specifically for y'all. We don't always spend much in that area anymore since everything's electronic. Professional fees are, for monthly accounting expenses, annual, review of the, operating budget, expenditures, checks and things of that nature. It's all for oversight and administration stuff. Property taxes, there, I haven't got the notice for the coming year yet. I don't know if it could go, I don't think they're gonna go up. I think it changed last year. The repairs are just what they are, just what we're trying to accomplish through the course of the year, along with a lot of the, of course, the labor gets involved in, you know, absorbed in the payroll section of things. That doesn't sound like maybe a lot of money for this much property, it's really not, but when you consider the fact that we're doing a lot of the work ourselves, you can get more done with that kind of thing.
So does that pay for like the doors and?
That pays for, yeah, anything that we have to foot the bill for, yeah, yeah, and, salaries, of course, we've already discussed and approved there, that's the proposal for the coming year. We based Justin's hours on about, what, 30 hours, was that a week on average, I think, or we may go on to 35. I think we went to 35. He started out putting 18 or 20 a week, now he's, you know, doing a lot more. Security, that $6,000 is paid to Buchanan Resort. It was increased last year from $1,105 to $1,500. And the reason being, and actually Wiley, the former owner here, proposed we do that to help with the added expense the resort's out here. That's to help pay for night watchman salaries, help pay for what we're doing up the road, to kind of keep you guys comfortable and safe and know that we're out there and not letting anything go wrong.
Be a hell of a lot cheaper than trying to install a cable here.
So do we have a phone number for that night watchman that we should be? I don't.
Yeah, there's a, let's see.
Okay, Jeff's got it.
Tom Bell is our, oh, here it is. The local, the phone that I provide for the night watchman is 731-336-8743. They like to use their own phones a lot too. And I'll ask Tom, Jackie, who helped us. I don't know if y'all met Jackie or Tom, either one, for necessarily knowing my name. But Jackie is actually retiring in about a week. He was retired anyway, and he helped us for a couple of years here. And he told us that he didn't want to do it anymore. So we're going to have somebody new. But I'll ask Tom if it's okay to share his personal phone number with you. And mine is one you need to always have, which is 731-336-8736. Pam is 8740. Rachel is 1557. And I'd have to look up Josh's, but you guys need all these numbers here. Josh's, I'm going to call him. Okay. So Josh's is 731-441-2362. They don't live in a building any longer, but if you can't get to me, and you can't get to Pam or security, that's the next place to go. If you got a problem, call.
Who is Josh?
Josh is my son-in-law, and his number is 731-441-2362. There's typically always some of us around at the time, or we've got somebody here that we can get to help you.
Does anybody live in your condo?
Not currently. Well, there won't be anybody living there. We're just gonna go go back to using it like we always did, just for old clothes, just for a family and stuff. You know, the other two daughters come in occasionally, and so they'll go back to using it like that. Supplies, just stuff we gotta have. Grill, grill gas, cleaning supplies, things of that nature. Your reserve transfer, that is something that's very important. And again, if you are selling or buying, that's something that comes up. What's your reserve balance? How much is dedicated? The dedicated transfer goes a long way to reserve. What the problem is the lady that spoke up to having to pay extra down payment was due to the reserve balance, I think. But knowing that you got a dedicated reserve in the budget is very important for finance. They want to see that, and they'd like to see it growing a little bit. Utilities are all your common element, electric bills, your pool telephone, Wi-Fi for the clubhouse area, water, sewer, anything related to that nature. And that's a pretty big area there. So if there's any discussion or questions on that, feel free to bring them up. After that's all said and done, if we operate in line here, we got a little surplus at the end of this. We'll try to do better than that if we can. It's surprising sometimes when you're not spending a whole lot on upgrades, how much you can make this budget go. Next summer we may save $3,000 on a lawn mowing. I mean, who knows? It's just, it's a moving target. This is something we got to work with. I've dealt with budgets here ever since this place has been here. And I don't know, I've learned not to worry about it too much, but sometimes you're going to have a problem. And I just don't foresee a problem with the remainder of this year or the coming year, unless it's something new coming up to us. Is there any further questions on the budget? Did we get a motion?
Do we get a motion to approve?
Oh, go
Sewer, line item, that's it.
What now?
The sewer line item.
You're looking at an expanded copy?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the sewer, well, that's your,
16,000.
yeah, that's your sewer, water and sewer system. We have a sewer system, for those of you that don't know, there's a pump system, and that all buildings are fed into a lift station. They're moved back to some property, several acres of land back here that we devoted to sewage for this development. So neither one of those items, the water or the sewer, has seen an increase. I'd have to go back and look. It's been at least 4 or 5 years since there's been any change on those areas at all.
So it pumps it out septic.
We pump everything out of these holding tanks up to the leach line, which is.
Yeah, these payments are made to Buchanan Resort.
Yeah, it is.
These payments are paid to Buchanan Resort. They own the water and sewer system.
They actually, the water and sewer is a Buchanan Resort Development Company. That's the same business that you pay for your boat slip through. But there had to be a water system and sewer system established when it was built. And that was something that John Carolyn built to maintain at that point. So.
I'll tell you all too, that what you're looking at here is a compressed budget.
Yeah.
When we get together like we did at first part of September with our meeting, ours is the long version, and we go through the pictures for every line item and every account, and we scrutinize it, and we look at history, and we look back and make sure that we're trying to be as on target as we possibly can. I know we spent time, because we started the meeting at 1 o'clock and we adjourned a little after 6. So we want y'all to consider that when you consider our raises.
You have a motion to approve the budget?
So we don't vote on that assessment for increase.
Well, we need a motion to approve this proposed budget in a second for next year, which would include the we've already approved the salary increases, but we need to approve this budget with the coming rate increases for next year.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
I see.
Spivey? And Dan Hieronymus has made a motion to accept the proposed budget for 2022 with a second from Ms. Spivey. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
I'm opposed.
Motion passes. Is there, where at? Meeting to adjourn, motion to adjourn. I don't know if there's any unanswered questions here, before we do adjourn. If you had any further, you want to speak to?
I just don't agree with the assessment increase, unless I'm going to disagree with it.
I might answer just a little bit on that. We could get by just like we did this year without any increase, but the problem is we'd be pulling out of reserves. And our reserve account needs to be increased for obvious reasons that we've got a plan for these new roofs that are gonna start about 5 years from now. And rather than wait until then and get a big increase,
Or an assessment.
it's a lot easier just to do it a little at a time.
But it seems to me that having the $1,000 for new people coming in takes care of most of that.
We've only got one building for sale.
Right now.
Right now.
You know what happens.
Yeah.
Well,
And that's just my.
It's hard.
it's typically, I've been a proponent for the whole time I've done this, to increase the budget about 2% a year, every year. It's what needed to be done over the course of the history of the development. We wouldn't have this depleted reserve fund guarantee that we've got right now, had we done an increase every year. Almost, the inflation rate will exceed that a lot of years. We give raises every year. We pay more for nearly everything we do every season, so we really don't have much choice. We have not had an increase since 2019. There was a little confusion about that. We hadn't gone every year, ever. Sometimes it's 2 to 3 years without an increase, but it just facilitates a small increase. If you put it off, it becomes a bigger increase.
The thing about it, this increase amounts to, if you take the last 2 years, because there wasn't an increase last year, about 2%. And inflation, cost of living has been that or more. So when you look at the fact that our insurance has gone up, tax has gone up, salaries go up, the other items that go up, and the number of units, we still got 52 units. That hadn't changed. So something has to give somewhere along the way. And the last thing you want to happen is we don't want to get in a situation ever, we hope, where we have to have an assessment. That's something we want to avoid. That does not speak well for the management of your association, and that just says you don't know what the hell you're doing. So, I think we can do better than that, but in order to do that, there's a little pain sometimes that has to go along with it, but we try to manage that as best as possible. So that it, $40 over a 3-month period of time, that's $13 and something a month.
The amount is nominal, but, without a comparative balance, profit loss statement, some of the variance between budget and what actually happened, it's hard to make decisions. So, that's my point, is we don't see a lot of information. I mean, when I was managing a multi-million-dollar budget, if we didn't have additional income, we had to cut something. But it's hard to even know what's cuttable down here without something to look at. See what I'm saying?
I hear you.
Well, we can-
That's what you got us
We'd be glad to
for.
sit down with you and let you go through what we go through.
We can print
And
out,
look at it. And if you can come up with something that we can, someplace where we can, our crystal ball is not any better than anybody else. We try to make it that way. I mean, we try to take the best information we've got and, we scrutinize it, we spend time on it, and we try to come up with the best forecast that we possibly can. And, you know, budgets are the kind of thing where you hope you miss it to the good. So that, we've got money left over at the end of the year to go into that reserve fund. We've already been through the roof replacement era, and we know that'll come again. That's the biggest expense that we're normally gonna, the hits that we're normally gonna take, is when we start replacing roofs. And, right now, we're in good shape on roofs. So we had planned, we knew the last 2 or 3 years, the reserve fund was gonna take heavy hits, and it did. But we also knew that we were gonna get past that, and so now for the next 2 or 3 years, what we're hoping is gonna happen and we're planning for is that we're gonna be able to build that reserve fund back up. And it needs to go up.
And we're also, you know, everybody's wanting the reserve study. And I guarantee you that reserve study is gonna say our reserves are way too low. So we may as well start paying into it now. Because there's no point in getting the study if we're not gonna go by it. So.
And that would probably, we'd have to do an assessment to get it.
The reserve study is probably gonna say we need to make an assessment to get our reserve fund up by tens of thousands of dollars. And, you know, without the reserve study, it's just us doing the best we can with common sense. Well, common sense tells you that we've got to put roofs on in 5 more years. And that's going to cost probably $20,000 a year for 4 or 5 years straight to get it done. And so there's $100,000 in roofs that we're going to have. And if we don't start putting money in and saving for it now, that's what the reserve fund is. We're saving for the future. And like I said in the beginning, all of us are homeowners here, and we can, you know, be real chintzy with it and not spend any money and let it go downhill, or we can improve it or maintain what we got. It's all up to us to decide. And, but for sure, we're gonna have maintenance items, and that roof thing is something that, we have got to, start planning for right now.
And I'll tell you one of the things we did and made this decision several years ago, because I remember having the discussion, Russ and I had this discussion, and we talked about the roofs and replacing them. And, we were using 20-year life roofs. And we got to talking about it. I said, well, what's the biggest line item of cost in putting a roof on? It's labor. The labor's put a 20-year roof on or a 30-year roof on. So we paid a little more money for a better roof. And now we're putting on 30-year roofs. The difference was the roofs did not look the same. One of them has more of a shingle look to it, and the other one was just a flat, cheap. And I said, well, the thing about it is eventually we're gonna get them all changed, and then they'll all look alike again. That's where we are now. So, you know, we're trying to look at things like that and think about things like that that's gonna save us money in the long run. You know, rather than being penny wise and pound foolish, we're just trying to make sure we make the dollars stretch and go as far as we can make them go.
Can I give you just a quick history so you know what the reserve went from where we are now? 5/15 of 15, we had $10,000 in the reserve fund. 9/4 of 18, this is not the peak, but when we started the renovation process, we had $94,115 in reserve. We built this office over here, remodeled everything down here, maintained the property during that time, and now we're up to 47, whatever it was, earlier today, 47,000 or so. So we got about half of what we had when we started the remodel. If we continue this year and to put this dedicated 8,000 or whatever it is a year in there. It won't take us very long to get back up there. But we all feel very confident that a reserve study is gonna say, hey, y'all, let me do this. How's $215? That's what I get for trailer park rent in the mobile home park over here. And those people have to mow their yard and they have to maintain what insurance they got on their trailer inside and out. I provide them water and sewer. Well, that's $645 a month for a mobile home lot. A 2-bedroom unit currently is $800. I mean, that's that much a quarter. We're currently $800 over here. So the value you've got here, I feel like is exceptional considering what's around you. But we can't get behind. We really can't. And, or we don't feel we need to. We didn't mean to jump on you at all. I just felt like that, the history of the reserve, we had some real concerns years ago because we had no reserves. And naturally, we've been through the roofs, is what it amounted to. We used all our money.
And also, Donna, balance sheets are available for you. Any of the homeowners are welcome to get a copy of our balance sheets. We can just print them off the computer. And if that would be helpful, I'll be glad. But you're still kind of making your best estimate.
Any further discussion? Okay. If not, we'd love to have a motion to adjourn. I make the motion. Dan, is there a second?
She just came and told me that.
I guess everybody's in favor, they're all leaving, okay.
Well, see, Dan, get your stickers.
Who else is on here?
All right, let's make this formal. You right on me
Sorry about that. Mine, you got a copy.
I dealt with a guy, still on it, had a pavilion fee, still on the back. His name was.
It's not very common spelling. You can spell it and they'll find out and it's in my email.
I couldn't find a list on their banner. I would have helped with that.
I'm just having to go back.
Oh, it's by there.
But if they haven't chatted, I probably don't know. Unless it's over here. So
I think they're looking about the water spots.
it doesn't say who, it just says.
And there you go.
You got Paula Mohead, Jerry Landerholm, Brad Scarborough.
That's what we thought, yeah.
So I went in.
Lenny Oaks, Marilyn Rowlett.
She had a bunch of comments. And that's all that shows up here in McIntyre.
Approximately every day.
Maybe some others, didn't chat.
You see actual water.
No, it's just,